Hi there, I'm Amanda Cromhote from Truth. Welcome to the Blind Loyalty Challenge. We interview world experts in loyalty blindly. We're hoping to create insight, spontaneity, and a lot of fun through the challenge. The challenge is about promoting the blind loyalty trust, and my book called Blind Loyalty, 101 Loyalty Concepts Radically Simplified. All profits from the book go towards the trust. We hope you enjoy the Blind Loyalty Challenge. So here we are with another Blind Loyalty Challenge, and we're actually back in Australia. So I'm really excited to speak to Phil Hawkins. He is a self-proclaimed retired, semi-retired, but as he said, you can take the loyalty out of the boy, but you can't, take the boy out of the loyalty? I don't know which way around it is. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Phil, you are an expert in loyalty. You are an absolute veteran of loyalty, and to have you on the Blind Loyalty Challenge is a real privilege. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm excited, I'm delighted, but I'm also nervous.
That's okay. You're not the first to say that. So you were tagged by Adam Posner, and he had lots of questions around loyalty and so forth. So I'm actually going to start off with something that I don't think is difficult for you at all, given your veteran record in loyalty. So chapter 22 of Blind Loyalty talks about coalition programs. We actually have Ian Pringle as our contributor on that chapter. So is coalition dead?
I think it's a great question, and my answer is it's not dead, but it's changing. I should be very biased because the very large majority of my loyalty time was starting and working on and watching the evolution of a large coalition loyalty program, Flybys in Australia. And so I witnessed firsthand the advantages of coalition loyalty, but also the challenges. I think history does speak a little in terms of some of the very large programs that were in their prime, say 15 years ago. Some have changed a lot, and some are really not quite coalition programs anymore. I think some of the essence of coalition still holds quite true, and that is, in a multi-partner program, as a partner in a coalition program, you're able to get in contact via the loyalty operator with people who aren't your customers at the moment. So the ability to take advantage of that coalition effect is still there. I think the other advantage that still rings true is the concept of just carrying one card, even though these days, if you do that digitally, the Flybys program in Australia, the Flybys card is top of mind and still top of purse or wallet, because you can use it in so many places as part of your everyday consumer experience. I think the thing that has changed is the concept of you need to go to a third party who are the ultimate expert loyalty operators. And I think that's where technology over time has made loyalty program operation more accessible in the case of single retailer programs. And I think the other thing that's changed over the years, and it's always been there, is the tension around who owns the data, and the concern of the loyalty partner that as a partner we are bound to the loyalty operator because they hold all the data. And we've seen over the years with the changes of some programs how that tension sometimes works itself out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I did ask you the question for a reason, being a veteran from Flybys, so thank you for the insights. Not many people in this industry have had that much experience in coalition, so great to pick your brains on that one. So there are 2 chapters in the book around loyalty fraud. which is obviously a bit of a scary subject for virtually every loyalty manager. In your experience, what has been the scariest sort of fraud incident in the loyalty world?
Because a lot of my experience was at the operational end, then these were the things that kept me up at night. And they literally did keep me up at night, because I remember a call around about midnight from the IT department, and this was detecting some scary activity. And my memory from that experience was probably about the next 36 hours, you were just on autopilot investigating the incident. And I think, you know, loyalty fraud, it's fair to say that once the credit card industry really tightened up its act in terms of fraud prevention, I think a lot of the fraudsters looked at the loyalty industry as fair game, because I think that the loyalty industry as a whole wasn't as advanced in fraud protection. And, you know, with Flybuys being associated and being owned by very, very large Australian retailers, you know, and having been trusted with the personal information of millions of Australian households, you know, that responsibility weighs heavily. And that,
of course,
that means by definition, you work hard so that there's nothing that could impact the reputation. Because over the years, what I learned was that if Flybuys suffered a significant data breach, for example, then I think the scenario of the program just ending was quite a realistic one. And so, you know, those were the odds, and that was the equation. And so, you know, that I think that breeds an attitude of don't leave any stone unturned.
Yeah, and we're involved in a fraud group here in South Africa, and what you've just said, like, it keeps you up at night. Like, it's properly scary. That's what, the minute you've kind of put the lid on one problem, the next one kind of is filtering and ready, bubbling away and ready to come out. So great. Okay, so my last question, I'm looking behind you and you've got some phenomenal books behind you. I see Loyalty Leap, Scoring Points. So cheekily, apart from Blind Loyalty, which I know you've read because you've been very generous in your feedback, what's your favorite business book? I have asked this a few times. It's one of my favorites.
I'm going to rush up again.
You got Phil Shelper's book there. You've got all of them.
Yes, I've got Phil Shelper's book. I haven't got the second edition yet, but this book, which you might not know, but Brian Wolf was a guy I met quite early in my loyalty journey, and he was a real kindred spirit. And he wrote a couple of books. This one's called Loyalty Marketing: The Second Act. But I referenced that because he was someone we could call on, and he was based in the US, but he's originally from New Zealand. And he taught me a lot about the essence of loyalty. I remember one key thing he said to me is, and it gets to the question of why have a loyalty program or not. And he was very much one of the view, be sure about the reasons you're going into these things. You know, I'm sure you've seen over the years plenty of examples of organizations, retailers going into loyalty almost for a Me Too reason, because they think they're missing out. And that's not a good reason to get a loyalty program. And Brian was very helpful in that regard.
Yeah, I've actually just listened recently to your podcast with Ian Pringle on the Loyalty podcast, and it was exactly that, right? Why not, or why do loyalty at all? Like, is it worth it? So Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, I haven't heard of that book, so that's a goodie. Another one to add to my. I'm going bankrupt with this process because every
Yeah.
book I hear about, I'm buying them. So thank you so much, Phil. So who would you like me to talk to next on the Blind Loyalty Challenge?
I would like to nominate another Phil, and that is Phil Gunter. Phil and I met many years ago when he was running Virgin Australia's Velocity frequent flyer program, and that led to a number of discussions around potential partnerships between Flybuys and Velocity, and they had that had many false starts, and in the end, after Phil had moved on, we cemented that partnership between Flybuys and Velocity, which exists to this day. And Phil had to be the first person I contacted because, the message was we finally got there. And
Yeah,
Phil's been,
wonderful.
Phil's been a great, again, great sounding board for me in the world of loyalty, and is a good bloke.
Yeah, wonderful. I met him recently, actually, in London at the Loyalty Summit, and he's a contributor in one of the chapters of Blind Loyalty. So I would love to interview him. So thank you for
Right.
that tagging of Phil, and thank you for playing in the Blind Loyalty Challenge.
Thank you for the opportunity, Amanda. I've enjoyed it. Cheers.